And we're live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are here today with Yona. Yona, I think next week, I believe, is meant to go to Israeli prison. Her crime, refusing to enlist. So, Yona, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And I do need to say what a contrast between your path and my path. Right when I was 18, I made Aliyah for the purpose of joining the IDF. I thought it was the best thing I could do as a Jew, the best way I could support my country. And you've reached very different conclusions now, after being released for quite some time, conclusions that I ultimately agree with. So it seems like you reached these conclusions a few decades before I did, but I'm glad we're somewhat on the same page now. So let's just start by telling the audience a little bit about what's going on, your jail time, what you're going in for, what the process has been like.
All right. So, yes, my name is Yona. I'm 19. And in 6 days on Sunday morning, I'll show up at the draft office. That's my conscription date. But I will declare my refusal and refuse to become a soldier. And for that, I'll probably be sent to military jail.
So 6 days, it's your official draft notice. So
Yes.
It's not okay. And so you're going to go to the Bakum, right? That's the recruitment.
Yeah.
And then you're going to tell them you refuse.
Exactly.
And so you've been, I guess, what I found to be inspiring. I saw that you and a group of friends all burnt your notices somewhere in Tel Aviv. Was that by the Kiryat? Is that where it was?
No, it was in Habima Square.
Okay,
We organized a march on Rothschild and ended it at Habima.
So it seems like there's a growing number of refuse nikim, as we call them. Is that your sense as well?
Yeah. I think, well, it's complicated. Firstly, I think the reason, like right now, there's a significant amount who are specifically being jailed in like this month is that August is also the largest month for conscription. So consequently, it's also the largest month for refusal, proportionally. But also generally, I think it's less so that there are more people who are refusing conscription than it is that I think as things have gotten so much bleaker and there's been more room to express dissent, a lot more people are willing to be public about it and pay a price for it. I think there has been an increase in reservists that have been refusing, but I think people who have refused the conscription, who are refusing the conscription now, probably wouldn't have enlisted a few months ago either. But the choice to do it publicly and go to prison, I think, is a consequence of the times.
Okay, interesting. So the numbers may be similar, but the way people are going about it has changed. They're trying to take a stance and make a statement with the refusal. So you've had some friends that have gone through this process already. So is that what is likely to happen? You go to the Bakum, and then from there they're going to take you straight to one of the military prisons?
So in all likelihood, what's going to happen is that I will be sent to the commander of the Bakum, not just the Bakum, of the draft office in general. Her name is Ifat. I don't know her family name. But she's Alufat Mishne, which I don't know what rank that translates to in English. And the reason they're going to send me to her specifically is because she can give the highest sentence, the longest sentence. So she's going to try me, and it's not a military trial. It's like a disciplinary offense. And the maximum sentence is 30 days, and after that I'll be, so while waiting for the trial I'll be under arrest, and after the trial I'll be sent to the prison, which is it's called Kele Esser or like Nave Tzedek. It's where the Bet Lead base used to be,
Okay.
like for Yona, Netanya area.
Okay.
It's where the right wing mob broke into to release the reservists who
Oh, that was the
sexually
kid. Okay.
harassed, assaulted
Yeah.
Palestinian prisoners.
Kele Esso. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know if you
Yes.
know this, but I served 2 weeks in Kele Shesh back in the day.
Yeah, so there used to be two different military prisons. It was Kele Shesh and Kele Arba, and then they built a brand new one that is bigger. So they did 4+6, and it's Kele Esser.
Yeah. So just to explain a little bit about IDF creativity, Kele Shesh was jail 6, Arba was jail 4, so now they turned into jail 10.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess at the very least it's a new grounds. So it's good facilities, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if good is the right word, but it's like it is a new complex. It was built. It was finished in 2020, I believe.
Okay. Nice.
From photos, it seems kind of nice. There's a virtual tour that the IDF released. That is
So progressive and technologically advanced.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm interested in a little bit about your upbringing, because we live in such a militarist society. It's considered such a great pride to join. Again, not all Israelis, not some ultra Orthodox communities, but generally most Israelis, it's considered such a sense of pride, and where it's put in her head from a young age. It was put in my head from a young age, even growing up in New Jersey, to the point where I made Aliyah in order to do so. So I want to know a little bit about your upbringing and how you got to the place where you understand that serving is not something you plan on doing.
Well, I think, like most other Israelis, it was also something I was brought up on. But I was also brought in like a left Zionist, center-left household. So while still, being pro conscription and the state, that the word occupation wasn't taboo in my house, and I grew up in the north, which is majority non-Jewish, and I'd like to imagine, raised on values of like universalism and humanism. And I think as I grew older and got exposed to the reality, first of apartheid and then of the genocide that's currently happening in Gaza, the natural conclusion was that it's unconscionable to enlist.
But so you're saying the decision though came just based on what was happening in the West Bank before genocide and all that, you're saying?
Yeah, I came to the decision back in 2023. But by then I was already staunchly left wing, but I wasn't. But it was only around then, and like with the anti-judicial overhaul protests and all that I got involved with activist groups. And it was there that I met other young activists who were about to refuse or have already refused, and it was only then that I found out about that concept. And it sort of demystified. Like for a while, I knew like I didn't really want to serve, but it didn't seem like an option not to, and it's demystified the concept of refusal. And towards like around September 2023, we had like a big refusal letter of teenagers declaring that we won't serve an undemocratic system, neither inside the Green Line or beyond it, which was a cheeky way of saying that the judicial overhaul is anti-democratic, but also the current system is also anti-democratic, so we won't serve it either. It was signed by around 280 teenagers, and I was active with there somewhat, and it was during that activism that I realized that this was also something I wanted to do myself, not just not enlist, but publicly refuse, even at the cost of going to prison.
And is your family supportive of what you're doing?
They don't like that I'm doing this. They would have preferred I would have enlisted. We had our fair share of fights about it over the years, but I think they've come to understand that this is my decision, and they're still my parents.
Yeah,
which has been reassuring. But they're not. they're not supportive of the act itself. No.
Right. Okay. Well, it's good that they've come to terms with it, at least.
Yeah.
What concerns you the most about needing to serve in prison?
Honestly, sort of all of it, because I've known, because I've known I was going to do this for so long, and I've talked to a lot of people who've already went through it. I feel like I have a pretty clear picture of the objective reality of how it is, like what's the schedule and where I'll be, etc. But I don't know how I'll react to it. So because I've never been in jail. I don't know how I'll react to being so far away from my friends and only having 7 minutes of phone calls a day. I don't know how I'll react to all of the rules and orders and military orders of jail. I don't know how I'll react to wearing uniform, though it's not IDF uniform, it's American. It's American uniform.
Right. It's the old American uniforms that they
Yes.
donate to us. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think I'm scared the most about being alone. Because I'm trans, I'll probably be in solitary. I'll be sent to the women's prison, but I'll be in a.
So that's something I actually wanted to go deeper on. So, as a trans woman, you already got confirmation that they will send you to women's prison, or you suspect?
Well, we don't have that. There isn't, unlike with the prison services, which does have a public guidelines on transgender inmates. The IDF claims to have guidelines, but they're not public, so we don't know what they are. There has been a trans woman that was in jail back in March, and she was sent to women's prison, but was kept essentially in solitary. It wasn't called solitary. She was in a room alone. But even the solitary in the military jail, it's 2 people, because it's 1 person and then 1 person who keeps an eye on them.
Oh, interesting.
So apart from the breaks, which amounts to 2 hours a day, she was completely alone. And we don't know if that's also what's going to happen to me, because there isn't a public policy. In her last week, she was allowed to go on to do work, like cleaning and that sort of stuff, which is seen as like a prize for good inmates. And we're not sure if they really gave that to her because she was a good inmate, quote unquote, or because she or because we put pressure on the outside for them mistreating her for being trans. So we don't know if they'll allow me to be in. So for example, in the prison services, the trans inmates are also in cells alone, but during the day they are allowed to be in the cells of in other cells. So they only need to sleep alone, and that's something that the IDF doesn't allow. So we don't know what's going to happen with me, but if I had to guess, it's that it's going to be the same. I'll be sent to first alone, and after a couple of weeks I'll be allowed to do work.
Interesting. There's an interesting dichotomy how on one hand Israel is in the process of just the mass killing of civilians in Gaza, and yet when it comes to dealing with trans members of the military, they're somewhat progressive, that they're trying to at the very least accommodate. I don't think this in any way compensates for anything, but we often hear the Hasbara camp. They often say, "Oh, Israel has the Pride Parade and this, all the social issues," and it's almost as a means to whitewash what they're doing to Palestinians. And I feel like nothing describes that reality better than this very clear juxtaposition between that and why you're refusing to serve.
Yeah, but I feel like even then, I mean, being put in solitary isn't exactly accommodation. It's worse policy than the one that's exercised in the prison services.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I was saying, in the prison services, we're allowed to choose whether to be with other inmates or not during the day, and we're only kept alone at night. And in the military jail, We have to
Okay.
be. So yeah, I wouldn't say being completely alone for 22 hours a day is an accommodation. It sounds like not a particularly
That's
fun
true. That's true.
experience.
I
Um,
but it was more so that just the fact you're right. I don't want to make it sound like that's not cruel, because it is. It's solitary confinement. It's interesting though that they are at the very least are at least acknowledging, and they're not trying to put you with the men, right? Because
yeah,
you could see them trying to do something like that. But so it seems like there's some kind of consideration. But I get, you're right what you're saying. The accommodation they're giving you is like, okay, be alone in a cell for 30
yeah,
30
and
days.
I feel like the well the country and the army especially uses queer rights as part of the nationalistic narrative. So um, like I don't think it's a good thing that queer people are encouraged to serve in the army and are accommodated in the army, because I think the army is doing something that is fundamentally immoral. So it's not a good thing that we as queer people can also participate in it.
Well,
Um,
that was kind of my point, how it's kind of used as whitewashing. I'm not saying all the progress, there's many areas where on social issues we're good, but the way it's promoted to the world is very much to say, look at us, look how moral we are, look how progressive we are. And it's as a means to distract from very real human rights abuses that are happening.
yes,
Yeah.
and also for I think um, like there are also abuses that Israel commits that are directly related to LGBT people, LGBT Palestinians, for instance. There have been numerous reports of like a blackmailing of queer Palestinians for intel,
Right,
and
right, right. Yeah,
so yes,
do
it's
you want
almost
to talk about that? Because I think that's important. You want to share a little bit about what those reports are?
yeah. I also talked about it in another podcast a bit ago, but um, the there was a letter that came out a couple of years ago of intelligence officers who have testified to being ordered to blackmail um, queer Palestinians, gay Palestinians for intel, and threatening to out them if not. Um, and in 2023, in April 2023, there was a Palestinian in Nablus. His name is Zuhir Al Khalif, who was executed by the Lions Den militia for spying for Israel after being blackmailed for being gay, or for having sexual intimacy with a man. So yeah, it's something that the country exercised and continues to exercise, and like it's something that directly contributes to the oppression of queer Palestinians. And I think just generally there's something about the LGBT rights in Israel that is almost like conditional. It's you it has all those rights, but only if you fit into that national narrative. So for Palestinians, the asylum can be conditioned on that, and for me as a Jewish trans woman, I get those rights, but then when I dissent against a system that I deem as unjust, I am almost deprived of them in a sense, or at least do not deserve them in the eyes of the state and society.
Is that
So like the jail is an example of that, the military jail, and another example would be like how I've been arrested a couple of times at protests, and how cops have treated me for being trans.
what's some examples in how you notice the treatment difference?
It's very well. A lot of it is very like dehumanizing. Like I'm called the it, or half, or they. Um, I've I've had investigators who have consistently dead named and misgendered me, even though I corrected them. Ones that even looked for my previous name because I already had it changed legally in my documents. Yeah, there's been other stuff that I'm less comfortable talking about.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, it's a pretty consistent theme of being arrested, which has happened to me a couple of times.
it's interesting because I guess we've known each other for a few years now, but just through Discord and Twitter, I think, right?
Yes, and
The
your
first
YouTube.
time, you're right, and YouTube. Yeah, and the first time we met was the other day when I got detained for a few hours, and then you and some people were waiting for us when we got out. So that was
Right.
it was cool. It's interesting how we're now talking about you going to prison, and we met me leaving detention. So there seems to be a nice theme here. Hopefully, our future doesn't have all too much being locked up.
Yeah, I
Freedom's good.
think there's something very touching and beautiful about solidarity with people being incarcerated. I think that's a very core part of activist groups and of the activism I do. So yeah, so it's important for me to speak out about it and to wait for people who get arrested. And for instance, it's important for the community that I'm in to protest when I go to jail.
No, I actually, that was my first time. Like I was in military prison and then had some interrogation, COVID related, and then another run-in when I was 17 in New Jersey. But it's been well over a decade since I was in a cell, and I didn't expect anybody to be out waiting for us when we got out. So I do need to say it felt really nice. It was a pleasant surprise to see a group of people that were there welcoming us when we got released. So I understand that solidarity and that support. And I will tell you this. You said you recognize what jail will be objectively, but you don't know how it will actually feel. And you're right. It's gonna most likely it'll be challenging, and there'll be very hard moments. When I think back on the time I spent in prison, and granted it was only a few weeks, I don't regret it at all, and I consider it to be character building. The hard moments helped me grow, and it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I
So
think I've talked to enough people who have gone through this and went out the other side to know that it's going to be okay.
Right.
But I think another scary element is that I don't know for how long I'll be in prison,
Right.
because it's 30-day sentences, but it's not well, like once I get released, I don't get exempted, so they call me back in, and then I refuse again, and that can happen many times over. So
They keep going through this process, you're saying,
Yeah.
until they get tired of you.
so for instance, I may only be going for 1 month, I may be going for half a year, and I think that kind of that being unknown is a bit concerning.
Right,
Worry.
right. The unknown of it all. Yeah, true. That's a good point. Hold on 1 second. Let me charge this. I hate when people call twice. And honestly, it's on me for just not shutting down all my notifications when I do these live streams. It's on average one stream a call. One call a stream I get. Anyways, so next week, you're in 6 days from now. Are you doing anything before those 6 days? Whether it's another protest or maybe a going away party?
We have we're doing a party. Yona is going to prison. Good riddance, something like that.
I mean, you should always find a reason to party. Even if it's sad.
Yeah, I think something that's really helped me with this decision is that there is something really alienating about it from the rest of society, and I think being in a community that does not just tolerate it but also celebrates it is something that really helps you make that decision, despite the cost.
You're saying having this crew of people that are doing this with you.
Yeah.
How many are in this crew? What's this crew like?
So I'm part of a group called Mesavot. It means we refuse. And yeah, the there's a couple dozen committed activists, but it's a community of like 100, 200 people, something like that. Most of them, or not most of them, but many of us haven't gone to prison, but are still active around refusal and around. For us, refusal isn't necessarily serving prison time, but not enlisting and tying it to tying your not enlisting to a political cause. And for us, it's a political cause that is against genocide, against apartheid, against occupation, etc. And
Mr. Vote, it's called.
yes,
So
yes,
but it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like it's like a network of activists. It's made up of people who will refuse, have refused, are refusing, and it provides us with legal support, with media support. But I think the main thing that it gives me is like a community. It's people who are with me in this act, and that really helps.
And it's Misservot in the feminine, but it's for males and females.
Yes.
So that's something I wouldn't say I was surprised by. I even would have guessed that it existed, but when I went to the protest the other day, it was, I think, my first time spending any amount of time with the younger generation of like left-wing Israelis, and many of them, when they're speaking plural, they'll use the feminine.
Yeah.
Now, in Hebrew, being a gendered language, if you speak to a man, you use masculine, a woman, feminine. A group, even if there's only one man in the group, it still goes back to the masculine. But I noticed a lot of your friends were speaking only in the feminine, and to me, it seemed like essentially an act of cultural resistance. Is that essentially what it is?
Yeah, it's like I think it's for me, like I do it by default at this point. Like I don't even think about it. But yeah, it comes out of some sort of defiance and feminist resistance, and I think it's it's powerful in that it makes people who are not accustomed to that sort of language just notice. Like it's noteworthy. It's something that like you handle, for instance, and I think there's power in that.
Well, I personally think gendered language is dumb and inefficient, so I'm super supportive of just sticking to one and just running with it.
You cut out for me.
Oh yeah, I was saying I think generally speaking, gendered language is dumb and inefficient. I don't think that a chair is masculine or feminine, or a table. Like, it's just, dude, these are inanimate objects.
There are like 17 nouns in Hebrew that are both feminine and masculine. Yeah.
I think table is one of them, right?
I don't think so, but I think knife is knife.
Knife.
And face and sun. A couple of others. Yeah.
So I vote for making 100% of them that way, because it does not matter at all. So
they recently made socks. They recently ruled that socks are also both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Gerev, garbaim. Wait, how would you say that then?
So it's like gerev yafa, gerev yafeh.
Oh yeah. Okay, I literally forgot when the. So you could say gerev yafa. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm fluent in Hebrew. I can't. My vocab is definitely not as good. Like, I can't do some of the debates I have here in Hebrew, which is a shame. I should probably get better at it. But the one thing I cannot, the whole gender, it's literally based on memory. You need to know what every single object is meant to be. As a native Israeli, I feel like you all can't even do that. You sometimes don't even know what gender something should be, right?
Yes. I struggle with numbers often.
Numbers, okay. Well, I'm joining this resistance movement. And I'm just saying, I don't care. Make it male, make it female. Use any gender you want, as long as we can understand one another. We're good. So I support that. Awesome. So I do want to bring this over to Discord. We have a nice crew here in Discord to do just a private Q&A with them. If anybody here watching this either on Twitter or YouTube wants to leave a question, we'll give you, you can drop a question within the next 60 seconds and we'll do that live, and the rest of this will be done over on Discord. Yona, and if people want to, so first of all, I will put a link to your Twitter on the YouTube description, but if people want to get in touch, if they want to follow what you're doing, what's the best way for them to do that?
So me specifically, it would be my personal Twitter, but I'll be going away soon for a bit. So generally getting updates from refusers and the refuser movement would be Mesavot on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're even on Facebook for those that still use it. Yeah. There's a link tree in the Twitter bio, and that just has all
okay.
the,
Okay, cool.
And then there's also a Google Forms that you can turn to if you want to refuse yourself, and you can send letters to refusers that are currently in jail. So it's a whole thing.
So when you get locked up, and you know what, I'm not even gonna say when. We'll leave it at an if right now. You know, you never know. But if you get locked up, I will get some letters your way. So at the very least, those 22 hours, you have something to read.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty nice, especially if I'd be alone. To spend my time reading letters.
So her shadow is asking, how long is the prison time for punishment to not enlist? So she answered this earlier briefly. It could be a month to 6 months. It really depends on the process.
Yeah, it's month-long sentences, but it's repeated sentences because you don't get exempted after serving your sentence. And the longest someone has served until the IDF gave up since the beginning, since October 7th, was 197 days. Back in the 2000s, there were some people that sat for 2 years, but since the beginning of the war, the longest has been around half a year, a bit more. So.
Awesome. Well, hopefully as little time as possible. And let's leave this with a call to action to anybody viewing who might be thinking of refusing this, whether for Sadir or Miluim, meaning regular service or reserves. Right now, Israel just announced the next phase of their operation, which is to take over Gaza City. And they say they need 150,000 to 250,000 reservists to do this. One of the single best ways, or single surest ways, to stop Israel from moving forward is for enough reservists to say no, to refuse. So my fellow reservists, achim ve'achayot yikarim, or do you say yikarot? You say, I can't even tell you. Is it yikarim or yikarot? Anyways, the translation would be my expensive brothers and sisters, or my dear brothers and sisters. Now's the time to refuse. Be on the right side of history. There's no reason to risk your life killing other people. There's no reason to come back with PTSD if you come back at all. There's no reason to stain your soul fighting another man's war. Refuse, refuse, refuse. With that, Yona, I'll give you the final words for the stream, and then we're going to bring it over. We'll wrap it up and bring it to Discord.
As I like to say my final words?
Yeah, whatever you want to leave us with, how people can, we know how people could find you, maybe how people can support you aside from writing letters, what you want to leave us with.
Well, I think I'll pick it up from where you left, and it's that, I think refusal is both the moral imperative at the moment that we're at, and also that it's just the easiest way to effectively resist what's going on. Like Adar said, the state needs you as a resource, and you can deny yourself as a resource, and that could prevent the continuation of the war and genocide in Gaza. And I think that's valuable. So if you're considering refusal, or if you want to do it but don't know how, you can contact me. You can look up either Yesh Gvul or Chayalim Leman Chutufim, which are the two groups that help reservists refuse. And if you're going to conscript soon, you can contact Nasavot, and we'd love to help you with your refusal. So, yeah.
Amazing. Yona, thank you so much. I
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you for your courage. If you do get locked up, expect a letter or two, and I'm sure I'll see you at a protest soon enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. To those who are watching this here on YouTube or Twitter, join Discord if you want to watch the continuation of the conversation or be involved in the conversation. I dropped the link in the description, or I dropped the link in chat. There's also a link in the description in my bio. And with that, signing off. I'll be back for another stream in a few days. I'll let you know. Thank you all. Much love from the Western Galaxy.